Hello and welcome to another battle report. This is a 2,500 point match of Warhammer Fantasy between my Empire army and Anthony from the Sustainable Center's Bretonnians. We rolled up the Blood and Glory scenario. You'll have to excuse me as I record this battle report. I had oral surgery recently and my gums are still recovering, so I have a bit of a hard time speaking. Here you can see a long ways view of the table. Those ice patches using the crater formations with water effects. We decided to use them as marshes. Everything else is open terrain. Those obstacles are just regular walls. On my right flank, I deployed the Pistoliers, 11 Inner Circle Knights with a Warrior Priest who has a 1-up armor save with the Enchanted Shield and is stubborn with the Crown of Command. Behind them is the unit of 29 swordsmen with a level 4 battle wizard, Lore of Heavens. He has a 5-up ward save and a dispel scroll. I have 10 skirmishing archers. Celestial Hurricanum deployed behind 38 greatswords, accompanied by a witch hunter with a brace of pistols, a captain BSB with a 3-up armor save, 4-up ward save, and the Iron Curse icon, and an arch lector with a 4-up armor save and a 4-up ward save. On my right flank, the left flank from Anthony's perspective, I deployed the steam tank and 3 demigryph knights with a musician. On Anthony's right flank, or me facing him, the right flank, we have a trebuchet, a unit of knights errant with the errantry banner, a unit of realm knights, and another unit of realm knights with the character block in the front. The Lord has Heroic Killing Blow and the Heartwood Lance, meaning he will re-roll failed rolls to wound. He has the level 4 Prophetess in the second rank. She's Lore of Life. She has the Crown of Command and a Dispel Scroll. He's got his BSB, who has a 1-up rerollable armor save, and a Paladin with a 1-up rerollable armor save. I'm sure they have the Biting Blade and Sword of Might. I just don't remember who had which. He has a unit of 40 men-at-arms in bus formation with a level 1 damsel, Lore of Beasts. She has the prayer icon. On the left side, he's got 3 Pegasus Knights behind 5 mounted yeomen and another trebuchet. Now, as this was Blood and Glory, 2,500 points, you round up to 3 for a break point. Anthony has the General for 2, and then the BSB plus 4 unit standards. I have my General, my BSB, and 3 unit standards. So it's 7-6 Bretonnia, leads in Fortitude. Here are the 4 spells I rolled: Ice Shard Blizzard, Harmonic Convergence, Curse of the Midnight Wind, and Comet of Cassandora. Pretty much the best. And here's what Anthony had. The level 1 swapped for the signature, and then he had Flesh to Stone, Shield of Thorns, Regrowth, and the Dwellers Below. Vanguard moves, the Mounted Yeoman moved up, and the Pegasus Knights moved 12 inches towards the center of the board, and the Pistoliers shot up the side of the board, heading right for that trebuchet. The Bretonnian army prays, so Empire goes first. I had no charges to declare. The Pistoliers moved up and reformed at the end of the move to be facing the trebuchet. My knights moved up like that. The swordsmen and archers followed them. The Hurricanum just wedged itself in the middle there. The great swords swift reformed, I believe, and moved over towards, or maybe they might have just marched and wheeled, I can't remember. The steam tank generated 3 steam points without incident and moved, or actually generated 4 steam points without incident and moved 1d6 towards the wall. And then the demigryphs moved so that they are approximately 19.5 inches away from the knights. This will provoke a impetuous test from the Knights Errant. In the magic phase, I cast the Comet of Cassandora in the corner between the trebuchet and the knights. When the comet hits, it hits everything within 2d6 inches. It will definitely hit the trebuchet because it's within 2 inches of them, and it'll hit the Knights Errant unless they move. I use the Celestial Hurricane's Bound spell to try to put a template on the Peg Knights. It scattered and only caused 1 wound with the lightning strike that I rolled. I fired a cannon from the steam tank with the remaining 3 steam points and killed 1 knight. Bretonnia, turn 1, the mounted yeomen declare charge on the archers. The archers stand and shoot but cause no wounds. The Peg Knights fly around to angle at the flank of the Knight bus. The men-at-arms march and wheel. The character block moves up. The Realm Knights move up. The Knights Errant test for impetuous, fail, and must declare a charge on the demigryphs. They need to roll 2 6s on 3d6, drop the lowest. They do not, so they move up, I believe, 5 inches. At the beginning of his magic phase, we test for the comet. The comet crashes down with 1 marker. It is strength 5, causes no wounds to the trebuchet, causes several wounds to the errantry block, and then causes 2 wounds, I believe, to the Realm Knight block as well, as it hits in like 10 inches or 12 or 11 inches, a very large radius on this comet. In Anthony's magic phase, he attempts to cast the Dwellers Below on 6 dice. He does not get Irresistible Force, and I scroll it as he is targeting my greatswords with the characters. In shooting, both trebuchets target the Celestial Hurricanum. 1 shot scatters 2 or 3 inches off, or about 4 inches off, I believe, and clips the skirmishing archers, kills 2 of them. The other scatters 10 inches into the greatswords block and kills 5 of them. Every match that I've taken the Iron Curse icon, it has paid for itself within 1 round of shooting, almost always. In combat, the mounted yeomen and their horses completely whiff. The skirmishing archers cause 2 wounds, I believe maybe even 3, I can't remember. The mounted yeomen lose combat, break, and run away. They are pursued by the skirmishing archers, who run them down 8 inches ahead. Not what I expected, but, you know, I can't complain about that. Peasant leadership is pretty terrible. Here's what the board looks like at the beginning of Empire turn 2. Here's another shot of the right side of the board, Empire turn 2. I declare a charge with the Pistoliers on the trebuchet. They're almost guaranteed to make it. I declare a charge with the archers and the knights on the men-at-arms block. I have to maximize, so this is what I settle on. Both the warrior priest and one of the knights must take dangerous terrain checks as they have entered that marsh. They both pass them. The demigryphs declare a charge on the errantry block. They need a 7, and they make it, so they're in. I move the Hurricanum up to support that combat in the center. The steam tank actually misfires, attempting to generate steam points, gains 1 steam point, and loses 1 wound. I spend 3 dice on movement, but roll a 1, 2, and a 2, leaving me just short of that wall. I'll use the remaining points to fire the cannon and the steam gun. In the magic phase, I cast Ice Shard Blizzard on the men-at-arms, and then I cast the Comet of Cassandora with Irresistible Force. I put the comet there. The Irresistible Force result I rolled was a 7, which killed 2 swordsmen in base contact with the wizard and ended my magic phase by removing the remainder of my dice. In close combat, in shooting, no shooting because everybody's in close combat. In close combat, the Pistoliers take 1 casualty but destroy the trebuchet. And the demigryphs, with a really surprising showing, cause 4 or 5 wounds on the errant block, which has been depleted by the comet. They take 1 wound in return, and although the Knights Errant are steadfast, they're steadfast on a, I want to say 8. Because I don't think they're in range of the general, but they are in range of the BSB. and they fail their break test and are run down by the Demigriffs. This is one standard down, meaning that Bretonnia has lost a point of fortitude. We're now tied 6-6. In close combat here, the men-at-arms direct all of their attacks on the warrior priest when possible and cause no wounds. The entire Empire side of the table is hitting on 2s in close combat because weapon skill 3 and 4 on weapon skill 2 +1 from the Celestial Hurricanum. 6 of the skirmishing archers direct their attack at the damsel and cause 3 wounds to her. She makes no saves. That kills the damsel and removes her, so that's some victory points there. And we kill a handful of men-at-arms with knights and the warrior priest attacks. We win combat, however, they are steadfast on general leadership with a reroll and hold. At this combat, their leadership was debuffed, but it's still very high, and the men-at-arms needed to roll 5s to hit. So not a good combat for men-at-arms. Here's just a shot of the casualties and the damsel. Here's the board at the beginning of Bretonnia turn 2. The Pegasus Knights declare a charge on the Hurricanum. It flees, bounces through the close combat, and comes to rest between those between the men-at-arms and the Realm Knight block. The Pegasus Knights pass their test to redirect and attempt to charge into the Greatswords unit, which hold. They're just going to go for straight character assassination. However, they need to roll like a 7, and they only roll a 5, so they fail the charge and shuffle up 5 inches. The Bretonnian Lord charges out of the Realm Knight unit at the steam tank. He has heroic killing blow, and he's pretty likely to pop that tank given enough time. I stand and shoot with the Master Engineer, who has a repeater pistol but cause no wounds. However, when he crosses the obstacle, the Lord fails his dangerous terrain check and takes 1 wound. The Realm Knight block with no characters marches around. The other Realm Knight block reforms and angles like so. Here's what the board looks like going into Bretonnia's magic phase. The Comet does not land this turn, but stacks another counter. He casts Dwellers Below successfully on the Greatswords and kills 19 of them. And I believe he also cast Flesh to Stone, but I don't think I have a picture of it. A Stone Thrower, or Trebuchet shot, lands on target in the Swordsman unit and kills a great deal. In close combat, the Bretonnian Lord causes 1 unsaved wound to the steam tank, but does not heroic killing blow it. He's strength 6 on the charge with the lance, so he's wounding on 4s. He only failed 1 wound, and with the reroll, I was almost certain Anthony was going to roll a 6, but he did not. So the steam tank lives another day, or another minute. In close combat, I cause only a handful of wounds on the men-at-arms, who now are toughness 5 with Flesh to Stone. And between ranks and standard, I lose combat. The archers are testing on leadership, I want to say leadership 6 or 7, because they are not within range of the general. I think they're leadership 7 base, and we lost combat by 1, so they were testing on 6. They were in range of the BSB, but not the general. They failed both checks and fled. The knights are stubborn, and the knights, because of proximity, were in range of both the general and the BSB, so the knights were stubborn on leadership 10 and held. I combat reformed to bring more models into base-to-base contact. So here's what the board looked like at the beginning of Empire, turn 3. The Demigriff Knights move several inches to the side, so that next turn they'll be able to charge the Trebuchet. The steam tank generates 4 steam points. In the process, it misfires, rolls the result, well, it takes D3 wounds and generates D3 additional steam points. I roll a 1, so it's got 5 steam points and has now suffered 3 wounds total. The Hurricanum and the Archers both rally. The Pistoliers are actually conga lining behind that marsh in the back. However, they have really nothing to do this turn. And the Swordsmen and the Great Swords both reform to face the Pegasus Knights and sort of advance in line with each other. In the Magic phase, this is kind of done out of order. I'm going to be grinding with the Steam Tank, but that's not actually a close combat attack. I know it used to be in 7th edition, but in 8th edition, I believe it's done in the movement phase. In either event, I ended up doing it in the beginning of the shooting phase because I'm a dummy. So in the Magic phase, I cast Curse of the Midnight Wind on the Bretonnian Lord. He'll have to reroll all of his 6s in close combat. This is fantastic because it means he's definitely not going to heroic. Well, not definitely, of course he has a chance. But he's very unlikely to heroic killing blow my tank if he has to reroll the 6s that would give him the heroic killing blow. And then, and all of these are very cheap to cast, so I'm either 2-dicing or 1-dicing the majority of these spells with my level 4. I get Ice Shard Blizzard off again on the Men-at-Arms, and Harmonic Convergence off on the Knights. The Comet, however, does not land this turn, so now it's got 3 markers on it. In the shooting phase, or whenever I was supposed to grind with the Steam Tank, I use 3 of the Steam points to do the grinding attack. It's 3d3 strength 6 hits. I believe I got 4 hits on the Lord. He did not make any of his saves, and the Lord is killed by grinding hits from the Steam Tank. The Lord is the army's general. He is worth 2 fortitude points, so the score is now Bretonnia 4, Empire 6, and Army will break at 3. In the shooting phase, I try to fire a cannonball from the now unattached Steam Tank using the remainder of my Steam points. However, it misfires and does an additional couple wounds to the Steam Tank. In combat, the Knights are hitting on 2s, and if they roll any 1s, they're re-rolling them from Harmonic Convergence. They're wounding on 5s, however, they're re-rolling any 1s through Harmonic Convergence. And we cause a great deal for a prolonged combat like this, not on the charge. Causing 6 wounds to the Men-at-Arms is pretty nice. In return, the Men-at-Arms do cause a fair number of wounds, but with a 2-up armor save, and then if I do roll any 1s, I'm re-rolling them from Harmonic Convergence. The Knights just shrug it off like it ain't no thing. Here's a shot, very dramatic, of this combat. The Men-at-Arms lose, are steadfast, and are testing on Leadership 7. They would be Leadership 8, but with Ice Shard Blizzard, they're down to a 7. And they are within range of the BSB. However, they fail both of their break tests and flee. At this point, the loss of the standard takes Bretonnia down to 3, so that they've hit the break point and the game is over. It's a victory for Empire. Here's what the board looked like when the Men-at-Arms broke and the game ended. And here you can see another shot down the table of what the board looked like after the loss of the Lord and that last standard. And here's Anthony's war face. He's not actually mad at me. I just, very rarely do we take pictures of people in this. So I said, show me your happy face. And well, here you have it. That's Anthony's happy face. I hope you guys enjoyed this battle report. Victory for Empire on turn 3. Yep, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Have a good one.